the public needs to know about this. The country needs to know about it. The planet needs to know about what has taken place. And we've been lied to. I say this over and over. We've all been lied to for a minimum of 6,000 years. Every country, every European country, every Asian country. We're being taught by the reptilians lies. We're being taught incorrect information, even incorrect astronomy.
Yes.
Everything is incorrect.
Yeah.
This is insane. We've got, documented 23 different types of extraterrestrials, most of them being good people, okay? But then we've got these massive capability with facilities of the Draco extraterrestrial side that, they're controlling. And they don't just control this planet, we're just one of their planets that they control.
Is Mars under their rule or not? Because I know we have bases on Mars.
Yeah, and we are being used, we have been being used, and I hate to say this, but we're just a laboratory for them. Stop and think, that's not your moon, this is not your planet, and they own the planet, and we are their lab. We're their laboratory, and they're associates laboratories, other extraterrestrials coming in, doing their agenda.
Yes. And this has been going on for eons, and we know about this, but I have to say, there is a reason for all of this, and I want to get to this idea that the Nordics are coming here. Mark said the same thing to me. Around the same time you're releasing this, he was saying to me, on my one-on-one interview with him in prison. I go to interview him in prison. I've done it 5 times now. And he said, the Nordics want the humans to come up to speed militarily and in terms of consciousness, etc., so that they can join the fight against the reptilians and Dracos that are basically plundering the galaxies, taking over planets, etc. And you've said something very similar to that.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I'm just saying that this is our situation, and it's.
And our military is very aware of this, and so what they've been doing is funneling what we call black project money, billions, into building this secret space program that's now practically what we call a rogue civilization. It's almost living so far in advance of the way we live in terms of technology and in terms of everything else.
Okay, adding to that, you have Solar Warden. People don't believe that we have Solar Warden, okay?
I believe it,
okay. But it is 8 Navy space battle groups with destroyers, cruisers, other vehicles, support vehicles, transports, trucks, all kinds of stuff. Not familiar enough with it.
But you do know that reptilians and Draco, the blood sacrifices, the whole Luciferian thing, the kids being killed and eaten, I mean, that humans have been eaten and taken off planet, etc., and used for slaves in other colonies, etc.
I hate to say that, but that's far worse than what you've just said.
It's far worse.
Yes, far worse.
Far worse, yeah.
And that the whole blood situation is it's unbelievable. And
right.
I don't know how we say that to the public. I don't know how.
Well,
wait a minute, just a second. On that part of this whole subject. To me, if we get into that, and I know all about it, okay?
All right.
Far more than you know.
Sure,
all right?
I'm sure.
When we get into that, if we release it, 70–80% of everybody that listens to your program is going to say, you're smoking pot. I don't believe that, and I don't believe anything you people talk about on extraterrestrial. And it's going to kill what disclosure is trying to do. That's my
But you
opinion.
know the pedophilia is starting to be exposed everywhere. You know that much is
Yeah.
coming
Oh,
out.
yeah.
I'm David Icke from England. I went through an extraordinary series of what you might call paranormal experiences, not that they were, 20 years ago in 1990 and 89, and basically the veil lifted. And I saw the world in a completely different way. And I started on a journey of research, which has led me over 20 years to a very obvious conclusion that this world is controlled by very, very few people behind the people we think are in power. And they have a very, very malevolent agenda for humanity as a whole, who to them are nothing more than cattle. This family bloodline interbreeding control system of these elite families was not just a human thing. It went beyond that into entities that are anything but human. And it was only with the passage of the years and more research when I started to realize the nature of this reality that we're experiencing, that made sense in how this structure is playing out. Just outside of the frequency range of visible light, there are entities that are anything but human who have been manipulating this reality, this world, for eons. And because they are operating on a frequency that's different to ours, they have to manipulate our world through conduits. I mean, interfaces. For instance, when you see scientists in a laboratory, they want to work with material that's very dangerous. So the material will be in a big glass tank, and they will be outside the tank, and they'll put on those gloves, and they can work from outside the tank into the tank and do what they have to do. It's very, very similar in theme to what these Illuminati bloodlines have been bred for. They are bred to be the vehicles within visible light, this world that we experience, of these entities. And if you go back and you look at religious beliefs, etc., of the ancients and the accounts of the ancients, these entities, which go under different names, some people call them the serpent race, some people call them demonic. In the Islamic culture, they call them jinns, all different names, but the same entities. The bloodlines are interbreeding incessantly and have been right back to ancient Babylon and Sumer and Egypt, etc., and beyond, because they are holding a certain genetic code which allows the possession, another ancient common theme from as far back as you can track right to today, a genetic code which allows these entities to possess these particular bloodline families within the reality that we experience. And these families are therefore simply vehicles of these demonic entities. You research any of these families, be it the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Greenspan, Alan Greenspan, any of these people, you will go eventually into black magic, blood-drinking human sacrifice rituals where they make sacrifices to the gods. And these gods are these entities which feed off human energy and feed off human blood too. So people accept, yes, long ago people used to use human sacrifice to the gods, yes, and all the rest of it. And they think, oh no, we're kind of civilized now. Well, some of us are, but these bloodlines are not, and they're just continuing to do today covertly what they were openly doing in the past. And they are interacting with these entities all the time in their rituals. That's why they do all these rituals. That's why they drink the blood. And ultimately, they are possessed by these entities. And this brings about a simple situation. You've got the entities, let's call them demonic entities for want of a word. they're operating just outside of this visible light reality that we experience. They use the bloodline families as their vehicle to manipulate this reality. They take over their mental, what passes for their emotional processes, their physical processes. And what that means is, when these bloodline families go into positions of power, what we're actually doing is seeing these entities go into those positions of power. And so the secret society network is there to manipulate these bloodline families and their agents into the positions that dictate society and the direction it goes and all the rest of it. And because we can only decode their visible light level, we see the human level. We see people under different names called Rockefeller and Rothschild and Bush and Obama and all the rest of it. But if we could see beyond visible light just a little bit, and some people can, you would see overshadowing these people anything but a human entity. And it's these entities that have passed through what we call history, and they have been the cement, the guiding force that has brought this conspiracy through to the present day. Because people have asked me in the past, quite rightly, I understand it, why would someone give their life to this conspiracy, this global takeover, in 1500 or 1650 or 1820, when they knew they were never going to be around to actually see it happen, which is what they're trying to do now, playing the cards they're playing now? The answer to that is they were just vehicles. These entities are the common force passing through history, which has led this conspiracy to where it is today. What the system has done is to keep from us the nature of the reality we're experiencing and the nature of who we are in life itself. And in doing so, it has kept us completely in the dark about what's actually happening around us. The knowledge that's passed across the top levels of the secret society network through these bloodline families, the most important part of that knowledge is the knowledge of reality itself. For instance, we think as we look around here that we're seeing everything that exists within this room. But in fact, we're only seeing a frequency range, a very tiny one, called visible light. Anything outside of that, we can't decode, therefore we can't see. But just like radio stations share the same space without interfering with each other, so other worlds, other dimensions, other realms of reality, if you like, share the same space without interfering with each other. However, just as with radio, if you've got two stations that are very close on the dial, then one will be the dominant one, but another one, you'll get what we call interference from it. It's the same with these various realities that share the same space. It's what mainstream science calls parallel universe.
Kun jij vertellen wat het ergste is wat je hebt meegemaakt, waardoor je zegt, en daar was voor mij gewoon toen
Nou, dat is dus het breekpunt geweest. Je komt zo diep in die kringen. Je tekent ook eigenlijk ik heb niet met bloed getekend ergens voor, maar je tekent wel een contract voor je leven dat je zwijgt over namen van bedrijven, organisaties, personen. Dat is ook de reden waarom ik denk nog steeds leef. Je houdt je daaraan. Maar als het gaat om de meest erge dingen die ik heb meegemaakt. Ik heb net verteld over dingen waar ik stroomstoringen mee kreeg. Het geweten begon dus we het zo zeggen, ik zat in een opleiding tot psychopaat en ik ben gezakt. Ik heb het niet gehaald, ik ben geen psychopaat geworden. Dat geweten brak door. En het ergste wat mij overkomen was, dat was omdat ik zo'n goed aanzien had, zo succesvol was en zo vertrouwd was met mensen in deze wereld die dus op dat niveau speelden. Ik moet ook zeggen dat de meeste van deze mensen hadden een geloof wat afwijkt van het gemiddelde. Hè? Je hebt katholieken, je hebt protestanten, je hebt allerlei soorten van religies. Deze mensen, de meeste daarvan, hadden een Luciferiaans geloof. En dan kan iedereen zeggen, ja, geloof bestaat niet en God bestaat niet, alles bestaat niet. Nou, voor die mensen was het de waarheid en de werkelijkheid. Hun diende dus iets onstoffelijks. Hun diende wat zij noemden Lucifer. Mm-hmm. En ik kwam dus ook in die kringen. Alleen ik lachte erom, want het waren voor mij gewoon klanten. Dus ik kwam in wat ze noemden Satanskerken.
Ik wou zeggen, we hebben het nu over het satanisme.
Ja,
okay.
Ik kwam dus in Satanskerken, maar ik kwam zeg maar op route even langs, even buurten. En daar was dan op dat moment een heilige mis, hun heilige soorten mis. En dat was met blote vrouwen en wat drank en dit en dat. En ik vond het alleen maar leuk. Ik hechtte weinig of geen geloof aan hun geloof. Of ik was er eigenlijk niet eens van overtuigd dat het überhaupt allemaal wel bestond.
Het was meer een schouwspel voor jou?
Ja, ik zag gewoon de donkerte en de slechtheid en de diepte daarvan zit in de mens zelf.
Ja.
Ik koppelde het nog niet zo. Maar ook die kringen verkeerde ik dus in, omdat als gast zeg maar, omdat ik vond het allemaal wel leuk. Al die blote vrouwen en al die dingetjes die daar speelden. Het was het vrije leven. Maar er kwam een moment, toen werd ik dus uitgenodigd, daarom vertel ik dit ook, om mee te gaan doen aan offers in het buitenland. Dat was het breekpunt. Kinderen.
Oké. Dat werd je gevraagd?
Ja, ik kon het niet.
Throughout my childhood, I was a victim of Australia's VIP child sex trafficking ring. For example, I was prostituted to pedophile parties at Parliament House, Canberra, and to an international leader at Fairbairn Military Airport. The people involved in this elite pedophile ring included high-ranking politicians, police and judiciary. From the late 1980s, I reported my abuse experiences to multiple healthcare professionals, not one of whom adhered to mandatory reporting requirements. I reported to New South Wales Police in 2008. I reported to the Royal Commission in 2012. I reported to Operation Attest in Canberra. I made formal witness statements to New South Wales Police and have agreed to do more. I've reported directly to the New South Wales and Federal Police Commissioners and to the New South Wales Coroner. I have provided sufficient names, times, dates and places for authorities to investigate. My experiences were horrific beyond words. I witnessed child abduction, torture, rape, murder. But the way I've been treated for reporting the crimes I witnessed and experienced has been far worse than my original abuse experiences. Victims endure the most miserable childhoods. We then spend the rest of our lives paying for the crimes committed against us. Victims are constantly placed under excessive scrutiny. If we can't provide a precise time and date for something that happened 40 years ago, we're called liars. If we get emotional, we're labelled crazy. If we are vocal, we're just attention seekers. It's time to focus our attention away from victims and onto those responsible for the crimes against children. In the 2006 census, Australians identified child protection as their number one concern. Why then does our government continue to ignore the public's concern for children? Australia is a pedophile haven. Our laws are written, interpreted and administered in a way that benefits pedophiles and silences victims of crime. Our university lecturers teach pro-pedophilia material. Our health boards continue to allow offending doctors and psychologists to practice. We are up to our second Royal Commission into child abuse in 20 years. The Wood Royal Commission was indeed a failure. If it was successful, I wouldn't be standing here right now. The Wood Royal Commission was established in response to complaints about the VIP pedophile ring that abused me. This is the exact same elite pedophile ring that I reported to the current Royal Commission. In 2013, I asked the Royal Commission, what are you going to do differently to the failed Wood Royal Commission? They had no answer for me. If the Royal Commission does not result in the investigation and prosecution of the VIP pedophiles that victims like me have named, then they are just information gathering. I know you want me to stand here and name names. Yet to concentrate on the names serves to shift the focus from the entire reason I'm standing here. I have provided the names to the authorities. It is their responsibility to combine my information with what other victims have presented and properly investigate. And now I will give you some VIP names. Michelle. Michelle was a friendly 12-year-old with long dark hair. I witnessed her abduction, rape and murder when I was 6 years old. Samantha. Samantha was 9 years old with wavy long brown hair and a warm smile. She had Down syndrome. Samantha was murdered when I was 12 years old. Chloe. Chloe was an attractive 4-year-old with brown straight cut hair into a bulb and sea green eyes. Chloe was murdered when I was 14 years old. Don't make this about me. Focus on those victims who couldn't be here today to personally share what happened to them at the hands of the VIP pedophiles who have infiltrated Australia's supreme institutions.
All right, folks, in 2011, Donald Marshall unleashed his first public disclosure on the internet with a letter describing his abuses in a vast underground program of human cloning by parasitic, non-human entities in conjunction with the world's shadowy elite. He detailed several types of cloning done at these underground bases, most notably is REM sleep-driven clones, where as long as they've created a second body for an individual, their consciousness can be transported to these hidden husks at the push of a button. Not only is this the elite's main method of meetups in the modern world, but also the technological solution for their bloodlust and desire to torture, sacrifice, and abuse children to no end. And since Donald's come forward as an Illuminati whistleblower, he hasn't been shy about naming those from the political and entertainment realms that he's encountered below, from Queen Elizabeth, Henry Kissinger, Hillary Clinton, and Obama, to Bernie Mac, Tila Tequila, Kurt Cobain, and Mila Kunis. But as odd as this all sounds, the recent trend of celebrities actually tweeting about human cloning centers and their own abuses has prompted me to bring him on to get some insights into the latest chapters of this long, dark, far-out saga. Donald, my man, welcome to THC.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah, I'm psyched for this, man. Thanks for doing it. I've tried to give people some of the cliff notes to the story there because I don't want to just rehash the previous interviews you've done, but I'm sure this is new to the majority of the people listening, so to get us started, can you elaborate on some of the main aspects of what you've been disclosing since that original letter? Anything I forgot to mention?
Well, your intro really was good. I don't know what to say now. You ruined my entire spiel.
Sorry.
Another aspect. Well, I thought there was only a few kinds of aliens. There's way more.
Wow.
Like, I thought there was only 3 kinds of these vrills. But vrills are only one thing. And they are reptilian, lizard type, but there's other kinds that aren't lizards I didn't even know.
Yeah, what else have you been introduced to in terms of alien life forms?
Well, let's see. What people think of as grays, but they're not even actually gray. They're kind of beige. You can't touch them. They're sticky. And our finger oils, our hand oils, burn their skin.
Wow.
Yeah, I held hands with one of them that wanted to hold my hand, and I had to wear a little plastic glove. It's pretty sick. But they look remarkably like the what they call the Asgard in the Stargate movies and series. Well, just the series, I guess they're in. But they look remarkably like that. And their physiology is reptilian as well, like lizard. They don't have scales, though, but yeah, they're real small. They look just like that, though.
Man, that's interesting. So, as far as your personal story goes, how did you get mixed up in this? Like, where were your parents?
Well, let's see. Little did I know. Well, my dad wasn't there, but my mother was. But I didn't see her in the beginning. I was 5 years old, brought there, and they were going to use me for what they call the diddle kit to like be molested by, rich old men or women or whatever. But then I would scream and cry and everything, and they felt bad for me, which is rare because they don't feel bad for much. So then this old guy that was there, there's all kinds of Freemasons there, these Shriners and stuff that you see in the parades riding around on their little scooters and stuff. They're all a bunch of scum. Like you would think, oh, they wave to the children and stuff. They must be nice. No, they're not. No, they're all ugly and can't get a date and would have a hard time paying for a hooker. So they mess with children. It's really crazy. So anyway, I was crying and screaming, looked pathetic. And somebody said, well, kid, what else you gonna do? What else can we use you for? Do any singing or dancing? And so I started singing a song. And they said, wow, that song was great. Sing us another song. So I did. And then little did I know, someone famous used the song and this other song. And then after a time, I became this amazing song kid that could make a song out of thin air, top 10. So then they just kept on bringing me back. And for a little while, they thought it was amazing. After a time, it just became an expected thing. It became like a magical organic jukebox that could kick and song come out,
Yeah, I think that aspect is really interesting. What are some songs people would recognize that came from you originally? Because there are quite a few.
Oh my. Well, this topic, as a footnote, people get angry when I mention this part. They think that I'm trying to brag. I'm not. It's actually shameful because I made a lot of money for evil people and the propagation of an alien infestation, parasiting, body snatching thing.
Right.
Crazy. And I had to mention this part because it's the mainstay of why I was there, why they kept bringing me back, and why I'm still alive. It's a long story. I'll try to put it in as much of a nutshell as I can.
Sure.
Let's see. Sing a song. Let's see. The first one I made was Lady for Kenny Rogers. And I sang it there trying to show off for literally this, and I know it sounds absurd. I'm sorry. But for Queen Elizabeth. I sang it right to her at the Cloning Center.
Wow.
She's a depraved pervert. She's mentally insane in 5 different ways. She's got water on the brain from alcohol. I'm pretty sure she has syphilis. She's hinted at that. She was born literally, shall I say, special to be politically correct. I say retarded. When I'm at cloning and in general mentioning, I just say retarded. I guess people don't like that. But yeah, she is. She's really whack by many ways. And from being in proximity to scary aliens for most of her life. At cloning, right?
Right.
It traumatizes you, I guess. But everybody at cloning is afraid of her. And they all do what she says. Well, I didn't want to go there. After a time, I gathered up my courage and told her I didn't want to go. And then, well, she was always really setting me up to be a victim. She wanted, well, besides the song making, that was just a bonus. I was always meant to be a victim there. She wanted to actually make it look like I was a bad person or evil so that people wouldn't care or even try to defend me, make an attempt to speak up for me. Because she has nothing. I'll tell you how it is with her. Because she basically runs the place. She's not a victim. She's not a hostage. She runs the place. And everyone is even scared to say that they don't want to go there, because then she'll insinuate that she's insulted that they don't want to be her friend. The entire royal family is there. Charles is crazy too. He's been around talking to me at cloning ever since I was a kid. They made an exception with me. I was allowed to go there on adults' night. When there were no other kids there, I would go there. And let's see. She has nothing, right? She has no gimmick. You see, in the past, it was only politicians. It was a gathering place, a meeting place for politicians to come and discuss worldly affairs. And in the event of emergencies, they could, talk to each other and smooth things over. But then everybody started getting bored. So then they started bringing Marilyn Monroe and different film stars and stuff to make it more exciting. Well, that kept going. And then they tried to turn it into a little private club where everyone would go and do depraved things and be in this exclusive club of superheroes that can't die.
Right.